Hey guys. So today I want to get into spirals. Spirals are a really classic design challenge. And today we're going to work on a simple panel out of plywood. And we are going to do a perfect spiral. And we're going to use certain influences and certain types of spirals to get our result. So to start it out, we're going to go over the types of spirals. There are 4 types of spirals. Did you know this? I just learned this recently. For your viewing convenience, I've drawn them out. So this is what they are. So of the 4 types of spirals, we've got the logarithmic spiral, Fermat's spiral, Archimedean spiral, and the hyperbolic spiral. For our purposes, we are going to focus either on, or I generally use the logarithmic, which is commonly what you see in nature, or the Archimedean spiral, which is what you see in a lot of engravings and a lot of decorative spiral work that you'll see in all types of artistic situations. The hyperbolic spiral is something that you see related to gravity, objects floating around a gravitational singularity. Fermat spiral, I read an explanation of what it is, and it was really, really heady, and I'm not even going to get into that. Logarithmic is like the snail. This is the most nature-based spirals that there are. So some days I do this, some days I do this, but ideally we do a combination of the logarithmic and Archimedean. But for today's lesson, we're going to get into Archimedean. So an Archimedean spiral starts at a point and it does laps. Each of these laps has the same distance in between, same distance. It can just go on forever. This is not something you would normally see in nature, but it's cool, and that's what we're going to do today. All right, so I cut my piece of plywood. I think this is 14 by 14 inches. I drew out an Archimedean spiral with a 1.5 inch gap. This piece is really influenced by engravings that I've seen on antique guns. Some of the gun engravers going back hundreds of years did amazing, layered, repetitive, almost psychedelic looking Archimedean style spirals. Here are a couple examples of the gun engraving. You can see that there is the acanthus leaf on the inner edge of the spirals, giving it a really billowy, beautiful look. And this example is really pixelated, but you can see the cumulative effect of all the different spirals creates just a psychedelic, really, really interesting effect. And on the inside edge of these spirals, you have like these little feather elements, these acanthus leaves, stylized acanthus leaves on each level, and it just has this sort of like this billowing cloud effect. Excuse me. So that's what we're going to do. So I went through here with chalk, drew it out, and I kind of broke some rules here, and I did some side spirals overlapping some of the spiral lines. So, I mean, of course, there's no breaking of rules. It's just something that I typically don't do, but that's something I've been wanting to experiment with, and we're going to do that today. All right, so I am going to start. I suppose it would make sense to just start in the center. Clean my tip. And away we go. Remember, the first line is not going to be your last final line. If you're not perfect, it doesn't matter. If you get a bubble or a blowout, or if you have just some weird little variation in your pressure, you can go back and fix it, and that's what we're going to do. But of course, you want to avoid having to rework as much as possible. So the better you can get at first strike, the more efficient the whole project's going to be. All right, so far so good. So far so good. Okay, I'm proud of myself so far. No blowouts. Ah! All right. It was inevitable. I shouldn't have said anything. But it doesn't matter. We're just gonna keep going. I mean, what else are we gonna do? Okay. Where are we? We're almost at the end. Taper that off. I'm gonna go do these little tricks here. I'm not sure what I'll do with those, but we'll figure it out as we go. Oh, so cute. There's a little nice little filler. Okay, and then this last, that's not the last one, but pretty major. Anytime you do intersections, intersections can be really problematic because your directional line flow can get jammed up. And we're going to work and make sure that that doesn't happen. Okay, here's our last line, last first layer line. Cool. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do my border shells too, just because okay, well, that's a pretty good first run. I'm happy with this composition. I think this is going to turn out really pretty. So next step is to go in and do our little acanthus inner details that I had mentioned. So I'm going to set up the camera at a different angle so you can see this in a more detailed manner. Okay, I think we got a nice little setup here. So okay, now that we're positioned, got the camera in the right spot, we are going to start in the center, and we are going to do some repetitions on the inside of the spiral on each of the laps. Okay, let's just get cracking on this. I'm going to start each one right in the center. We're in the center of each run. And obviously, space them out as evenly as possible. So it looks like the center point of each of our starting points, it's about 1 inch. So we're gonna keep that in mind. Center point, 1 inch. Same curve. It'll get easier as we go down this is so tight. There's gonna be a lot going on with the turntable and repositioning. Stay determined and stay focused. That's the best part of this, is this focus. With all forms of art, it's all about doing something that's convincing. If you can focus and repeat on a really solid foundation, that's very convincing. Okay, first run of spirals. See, we stayed on the one side of the spiral. We may go through and add a little bit of detail on that side, but there's something to be said for having the action on one side and having the other side really crisp. It keeps things really just motional. It has like a motion thing going on. If I did it on the other side, it would get really overworked really quickly. Okay, next I'm going to go through and finish these little guys. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do here, but how about this? Teensies. Little guys. All right. Again, we're going to stay on the inside of the spiral with these little details. Not a lot of room, but to have continuity with our flow, we just have to work with what we have. Ooh, pretty. Look at that. Okay, we're going to do the same thing here. Just filling in space, not crowding things up, making sure there's some pink visible between everything. Ooh, pretty. This is pretty sexy so far. Well, hot diggity. This is looking pretty nice. So the next step, I think, is to add some strength to our first line. Like right here, you can see our very first line of the spiral. There's a lot of that. It looks okay, and it could be passable in certain contexts, but we are going all the way with this. So I'm going to go do some, we're going to start in the center again. Anywhere where I feel like we could use some improvement and strengthen the spine of this Okay, now that we've finished that second layer of scallops all the way around, we just need to finish. Here's the terminal. This is the terminus of the original one. The terminus should have some weight to it, so I'm gonna make it look like more of a cut stem, like it has a real starting point. And then the last thing we'll need to do is just go over these lines are looking a little weak. This line here, we're going to give that these four corners here where each branch pops off, we are going to go fill it in. Wow, this is how much frosting I've left in the bag. I'm cutting it pretty close. So now that we've gone through, we have followed through on everything that we set out to do, but I can see a couple of spots that need resolution right here, here, here. These little negative spaces need to be pulling their weight. So we're gonna go through here and just finish these, make them look real pretty and finished. These details are on the other side of the line, but this is where we're making the exception to our original mission of keeping details on one side of the line. Oh my, this is looking pretty nice. Should I fill that? I'll just give it one little guy. Oh, wow, I am loving this. Wowzers. All right, let's see here. We're going through. I don't see anything else that needs work. Wait. I'm just gonna, there's this little crotch right there. I'm gonna fill that in with a little bit of a, kind of a flower point detail. Same with this one. Well, shoot. I think that's about it. Look at that. We used up every bit of frosting. Oh, I think that's just smoking hot. Bum, bum, bum. Wow, there's a line right there I missed. You know, just when you think you're done, okay, what else am I missing? What else am I missing? All right, I think we're good. I think we're safe. That scallop does not look good. All right, we're gonna call that good. Well, I think this looks rather handsome. The Archimedean spiral, I think we are, I think we're successful. Ooh, so sexy, look at, oh. We started out with a very simple concept. We came up with a simple plan for execution, and we followed through, keeping all the spacing even. And I think we could be proud of that. I've used this in other projects, so check this out. There's a mess everywhere, but this is the same concept. These are small Archimedean spirals that I did on this gigantic cake that was in the middle of Cake Land. Started out with these. Then with some of the upper tiers, I added leaves. And then I started adding these little grape tendrils. So this is where you would normally apply the Archimedean spirals, is on the sides of a cake, on the walls of the cake, as you can see. So I'm pretty happy with what we were able to accomplish today. Pretty sexy spiral in my opinion. Yeah, I'm gonna go through, edit this video, and I hope you enjoyed today's lesson demonstration on how to pipe an Archimedean spiral. Ooh, look at this, I'm drowning in frosting. Okay guys.